Well, we're back for another week, another episode of House of the Dragon, and this was a different. This was a different beast of an episode, different from last week. I just finished the episode, so once again, my apologies for being late on this panel. Yeah, it's just. But by the way, everybody, welcome, and let's see who's here in the chat. So we got Shane Nolan's here. He's another lore expert. We have Zax. What's up, Zax? We have Magitech Mags. Hurry up, hurry up, you boomers. Yeah, that's all me. And we got Leia Rose. So I just figured, you know what? Let's just get into this. So, hi, Pips. How you doing?
Doing well as always. Thanks for having me, and hail to the chat. Looks like some good people are out there. I think I'm going to be a Debbie Downer on this one again. We talked about it briefly beforehand. To me, I might say low point of the season thus far.
Interesting.
I think I'm putting it at I don't know, a 6. I would say that again. I try to grade on sort of at least my own sort of headcanon of a bell curve, with an average show being a 5. So this is still above average, but within one standard deviation essentially. So this episode to me was a pretty normal episode. It still has high production qualities, right? And that's probably what's making it a 6 instead of a 5. Yeah, we'll get into my individual thoughts on it, but that's the overall sort of bottom line up front.
Okay. And what's up, Steve? How you doing?
Hey, trying to not be sick. So still recovering, not getting better, just staying the same. But managed to watch the episode. I'm here, so
yeah.
Thanks for having me as always.
Let's hope you don't have what do they call it? The stone. You're not going to turn into a stone man, are
Grayscale?
Grayscale, yeah, grayscale.
Yeah, well, apparently, I was surprised he was still kicking around, to be honest. But yeah, I'm sort of with Pips here. Probably even maybe a little bit more negative. I found myself getting really annoyed most of this episode at a lot of the weird and silly, quite frankly, silly decisions that were made by our protagonists, putting them both in jeopardy pretty carelessly. So I don't know. We'll talk about it.
Yeah, I agree. My take is, I mean, I was taking this in as I was going. I was judging this episode based on its merits, and I still felt it was an entertaining episode. Or do you think that perhaps the situation that Rhaenyra is in was contrived? Perhaps. I look forward to discussing this. Looking forward to breaking this down and discussing this.
Yeah.
There were. I mean, when you think about it, you would think a princess would be wise enough to avoid situations like this. And it just seems like it just seems like the character is pretty careless in that regard.
Well, I mean, I don't know if you want to talk about it now, but it's complete. Look, she's put her everybody in jeopardy, including Strong. Uh, if you want to have a boy toy, that's one thing. Having three bastards that are obviously bastards that everybody know are bastards.
Well, so I brought this up the last episode where she was talking about it. And I was like, "There's no way Laenor would have accepted the terms of the deal that she offered because, sure, he likes dudes, but he's still a lord of a major house, which means that securing the lineage of his progeny
Yes.
is still first and foremost his responsibilities.
Yeah.
And we see here that they decided to circumvent that by just having him not care about any of it.
Well, it's like you still got to impregnate her, then the dude can
Now,
her all he wants. Like
to be fair, I do understand that. I think that's book accurate, right? That all of her children in the books were from her sort of boy toy.
It's
right.
It's believed because
It's believed,
this is a unreliable narrator quoting or citing another unreliable narrator. But
is there?
I just think it's silly. I think I just think it's all silly. If that's how the book is, I think it's silly there too. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing though. And this was one of your fellow white, and I forget which white cloak brought this up, but brought this up on Twitter. Laenor is a person of, he's not a fair skinned person, I'll say.
Yes.
So she has three sons who are clearly fair
not that color.
Very fair. They're very fair skinned. So it's kind of obvious.
No white hair either.
Whereas Laenor in the book, the source material looks like it looks like a Valerian. He's got the pale hair. He's got the violet eyes, even though they don't do violet eyes in the shows for some reason. I don't know. But and then the kids look like, the kids have brown hair, brown eyes. Of course, that was another issue. But this one's kind of more obvious.
Well, I mean, the whole beginning of Game of Thrones, the whole first season is Eddard tracking down a bastard because of traits, right?
Yeah,
so your three sons have zero traits of the father. Zero.
Yeah. So the one thing I'll say is, while this is something that was brought up with the Valerians and their kind of the race swap early on, and I do agree. Visually, it makes it even more obvious, especially when, for some reason, with Daemon and Lady Elena, right? The two of them have children who are even darker than their mother for some reason.
Which is like her mother,
which is not really the way genetics kind of works, but like, sure, fine. So if they had been dark of complexion but a little bit paler, as you would expect, sort of, because they're only quarter at best, right? Assuming that Corlys is full on, then they're only quarter. But you would think that that if they were a little bit lighter, that it wouldn't be so jarring. But because they're still fairly dark, anybody who sees them and sees the children of Rhaenyra is going to be, wow, that's super obvious. But I will say, in the books, the silver hair and violet eyes is just as strong of a tell to anybody paying attention, even if it's not necessarily so visually, sort of like obvious.
Yeah, it's a recessive. It's actually a recessive trait.
Yeah, but if
other
parents,
Targaryens,
right? If both the two parents were a Valerian and a Targaryen that are both silver hair, violet eyes, and they have children that are brown hair, brown eyes,
you're right.
Doesn't take a rocket scientist in that situation either. So I can't really kick them too hard on that. So to people who are like, "See, we told you it was going to be a problem," it was always going to be a problem. It was a problem in the books, which is why the rumors were.
Hair. I think the hair is the big major telling feature for me. That's just like, okay, but the minute, especially you see Aegon and Aemon sitting there with their completely white heads, right? There's no doubt, right? I mean, they look just like Damon, pretty much, right? So, I don't know. It just, I don't
It
know.
is
It didn't
strange.
hit for me, and it felt all silly. It just felt,
Yes,
and it was annoying, and
it,
it
it
took me
was
right out of it.
it was silly because like Alicent is a brunette and her children are all white haired. They look like their father. So you would think that Rhaenyra, whose parents were
Just
both looked a lot like Viserys, right? Very
look,
pale, you know.
it's just the whole thing from, and I know we're going on about this, but this is one
Yeah,
of the big sticking points for this episode for me was the
I agree.
whole Rhaenyra. Does Rhaenyra want to be queen or fucking not? Because it's like now you're going out of your way to ruin it for yourself. It's like, okay, you want to have a boy toy, fine, don't get pregnant 3 times, or have the heir, who I would think would want an heir of his own,
Yes.
impregnate you, because that's what they do, you know. And then you could screw the other guy all you want until you have the baby, and then repeat. Like,
So
I don't know, just
I think the reason that it's a problem is because it's some sort of like contract between the two of them. In the books, where like it's just suspected, and you're like, okay, she was sleeping around her husband. That happens in real life, right?
yeah,
So, okay. But the idea that he is apparently knowingly not having a single true-blooded heir
yes.
as a major as the heir to one of the strongest houses in the realm is just very silly. And like you
Well,
said, it looks really silly because they keep on putting the children side by
well,
side.
and then
And like,
they have the guy right there with them.
yeah,
He's right there. He's raising
that
them.
was that
I mean,
was
it's
my
like
other
what?
problem.
It's
That
like
dude
And
was
what?
then
around
that got really obvious right there and
entirely
during
too
that.
much.
It's like, okay, these 3 brown-haired children are they don't look anything. Okay, maybe, and then this big brown-haired guy is like standing next to the queen, going, "Hey, I'm your personal bodyguard." It's like, hello,
Yeah.
hello, like
Even the idiot kid figured it out by the end. You're just like, God.
it's just like,
All right,
I
we're
don't
probably
know.
ruining their.
I'm
we're
sorry.
just-
It was a real sticking point for me in this episode, because it's just like, I mean, there's a lot that I don't know, man. This was really the worst for me by far. And again, it could be because my attitude is really bad because I'm tired of being sick. But sorry, I'll shut up,
uh,
Emporio. I
I
apologize.
love Shane's comment in the chats. Plenty of gay men in history had children. It's like, yeah, they did.
Yeah.
Yes, that's what I'm
and it's
saying.
and it's
Just
just
do it.
weird.
All you
It
got to do is do it once, and then
it's
you can shack up with the other guy all you want. No danger.
Yeah.
just
There you go.
close your eyes and think of England.
Think of England.
Have the other dude tickle your balls while you're doing your wife. Like, I mean,
Hey, they did that in Game of Thrones, didn't they? With
I'm serious.
Well,
If
there
you
was
didn't-
Renly. There was Renly
yeah, just
and
like whatever,
and,
man.
I can't think of her name.
Marjorie.
Renly and Marjorie.
Yeah.
And she's like, you know, because she knew, she's like, yeah, I could bring my brother in. You know, let's do this. You know,
Yeah.
I thought that
Yeah,
was hilarious.
Anyway, all right. We're sidetracking you.
Sorry.
Well, I mean, let's get started. Okay, so I guess you guys had to unload that out of your system. So,
Well, I mean, that's
you
basically
have to give
the
us your
beginning.
score. You have to give us your score before
Well,
we.
I didn't give it a score. I don't know that I can score it yet, but
No, I mean, Nerdporial. I wanna hear where he is to see if we, by the end of this, if we drag him down to our level. I wanna before and after.
all right. I mean, you guys bring up some good points. I did find this. I mean, I did find this.
I'm tip of the iceberg, bro.
I didn't get annoyed.
Tip of the
I
iceberg.
was paying attention to the episode. I was paying attention strictly what was going on, what was being brought up. So I didn't really think about, like, you know, all the implications and all the, you know, like, was she stupid enough to do this? And plus there was the 10-year gap, so who knows what the hell's been going on in between that time. Obviously
Doesn't look like much.
didn't look like much either. I mean, like, what other schemes has
He built a real big model.
Allison been brewing on all that time? What is, or was Rhaenyra been scheming all that time? I mean, there's a reason why George didn't do a 5-year gap in between Storm of Swords and Feast for Crows. He couldn't figure out how to do one for Cersei. Cersei was the character that he couldn't figure out a 5-year gap for, because, you know, 5 years of nothing. No,
I don't know. It just seemed like 10 years of I'm mad at you, you're mad at me, let's have babies.
Yeah, it's like they're trying to form their own factions. Like they're legitimately trying
I
to
mean,
form their own factions to fight. It's like they're planning to fight each other, they're planning to bring the realm to war.
well, God, there's every time I think about it, it just gets worse. Her claim is almost screwed at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah, because because
And
majority of the
especially,
lords are going to support the male heir, the eldest male heir.
yes. So not only that,
Well,
Viserys
she's
has
taking
now
her ball and
lived.
going home now.
Viserys has now lived long enough that his true born eldest son is now of age. He can take the throne. So wouldn't you, as Rhaenyra, just be like doing everything you could to just like not? I mean, I don't know. It's just
And if I
careless.
remember correctly, like that, like here's the thing: like she has more kids. I'll say this: she has more kids.
Yeah, so they all die just as easily as anybody.
I forget if all these kids die during this war. I forget. So I
I
don't
would
know.
imagine so.
I know one kid dies horribly. Like that's all I'm gonna. I mean, I don't know if they're gonna be kids during when the war erupts. I don't know how they're gonna do this. There's messed up shit in the works, like coming up. Like there's a story, a short story called. Well, it's not a story. It's like a short little bit. It's called "The Princess and the Queen," the same name as this episode. And I know what happens in that short story, and I'm sure Shane in the chat knows it too. I was like, are they going to pull this shit in this episode? If they do, it's going to be fucking dark as hell. They didn't. So I'm not sure if they're going to do it or if they're going to age up the kids to do something like
Could have
that.
done something.
Yeah, I don't know I have no idea what they're going to do with this.
I know. The more we're talking about, the more issues keep popping into my head. So I'm looking forward to hopefully I can make it, guys. I'm not being hyperbolic here. So
let's get into it and start ripping it up.
Pips. Last time I checked, Nertorial was ruler of the stream, not Pips.
I'm chomping at the bit.
Is this where Pip stamps his foot like Allison and says, "No, I'm the queen"? Is that where that?
I said,
sorry.
I'm chomping at the bit.
I was thinking, you know Theoden and Aragorn. It's like Theoden's like, if I remember correctly, Aragorn, not Theoden, not Aragorn, was king of Rohan. You know, that's kind of where it's coming from. But
wrong fantasy series, bro.
Well, Rings of Power, 3 more episodes.
You do that to Steve while he's sick?
What happened? Yeah. I blanked out there. I just coughed and everything went blank. Sorry.
Yeah.
This was a great episode. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
All right, let's get started with the breakdown. All right, so first thing we see a close up of Emma Darcy's face as the new actress that plays Rhaenyra, and she is giving birth. She's just giving birth. You're seeing her face. She's pushing, and well, she gives birth. You hear the sound effects and all. Hear all the sound effects and everything.
I wish we had the cork, Pip uncorking his bottle sound effect. There you go.
So it's a good I'll say, as always, I was watching with Miss Pips, and so she's been a NICU as well as labor and delivery nurse, as well as kind of postpartum maternity. And she said that good on them for using a actual newborn baby. Most TV shows and movies, the baby is way too old. So they actually used a newborn, which is good. But she was like, no, it doesn't sound like that.
Yeah, was not, that the? I had they cut the cord. She just has to get go walking away. They actually cut the cord to the baby and all that. Sorry.
Yeah, like she got up and then she gets up and they cut the cord like that. I was like, oh, okay. So, but yeah, so we get to see the birth of another baby boy. They name him Joffrey. And the moment she gives birth, and so they name it. So he's obviously named after. I'm sure he's named after great man, sir.
But Jeffrey
the Night of Kisses gets his face the Night of Kisses gets his face smashed in at a feast. So we get so the moment the first thing that comes in, a messenger from the Queen comes in and requests or orders that the child be brought to her, and the Rhaenyra's like, no, I'm gonna go to her myself. I'm not letting you handle my child. I'm curious. I was thinking, do you think there was any not cruel, any menacing or any ulterior motives to that request or that command to bring the child to her immediately after the birth?
Screw with her. I think it's exactly to make her think what she wanted her to think, which is they're going to kill my baby or something like that.
I don't think she had any intent to kill the baby.
No,
I
I
don't
don't
think
think
Rhaenyra thought that. I think it was to screw with her, but I think realistically, what it actually was exactly what she did. She looked at the baby, and then she looked at Laenor, and she said, "If you keep on trying, maybe one of them will look like you." Like that's what it was about. She wanted to see the baby right away and be like, "Up, another bastard."
Okay, that's exactly
Probably right.
what it
Yeah.
was. Probably. And I like how like Laenor just like shows up, and he's like he's walking with her, and he's like, I'm trying to help.
Yeah, they
And
picked
then
out a
he's
good
like,
guy.
was it
Yeah,
painful? Was it painful? And she's just
I
like, fuck you.
I don't like, of all the new actors and actresses, he's
Yep.
the only one that I dislike.
Didn't like him at all.
You didn't
Yeah,
like
he
him?
just
He man, he comes off just pathetic and weak. And
yeah.
part of that is the way that he's acting, but also part of it is the way that he looks. The previous actor, I feel like, was like a reasonably kind of well built guy, and this dude is like rail
Twink.
thin. Like he does not look like the guy who was swinging a sword in the Stepstones.
Doesn't look like his father's son at all either.
No, that's another. Yeah, he doesn't look like his father's son at all. Whereas the previous actor, I think, did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good point.
And the other actor had like he had like what do you call it? He had an assertiveness, like especially when he was dealing with his uncle during that war council right before Aegon or not Aegon, Daemon goes and does the wild thing and tries to fight all those soldiers, fights a war by himself, you know. But yeah, this guy just we barely see him. He's not around, so basically he's just hanging out with his boyfriend. He's just hanging out with his next boy toy. And I know what ultimately happens to Laenor, and it might have something to do with boy toys, I'll say. But we're getting ahead of ourselves. So they're walking to the chamber. It's a very we're the camera's like in front of them, and we're watching them as they're going up the stairs, and it's getting very tense. At least I was feeling tension right there. I was feeling tension watching this. And of course, the lords were like trying to. One lord dude was like, "Oh, I'm the first to congratulate you. If we can be of service, let us know." And they're like, "Okay, whatever." I mean, it's just like, oh, those ankle biters, just go away, get away. What do you want from me? So, of course, then we get the scene with Alicent that was pretty much covered, and then we see the king. We see Viserys, and wow, did they age him? His face is all spotted, and his hair is practically gone.
They did what I wanted, which is they amputated the arm, but I mean, I think they've done a pretty decent job of progressing his illness. So,
yeah, I mean, he looks way older. I mean, he was dying. He was dying in the last episode. Well, he's been dying for the last 10 years. He's still not dead yet. He's still alive. So, so yeah, we get of course they named the kid Joffrey. Laenor just spouts it without even asking her. That bastard. Named that. Obviously, we already said named after his boyfriend from the feast.
What are the other kids' names?
The oldest one's name is Jacaerys. They call him Jace.
Okay, it's just they call him Jace. Okay, got it.
And the second one I don't even know. I'd have to look up. I'd have to look that one up. But
no, it was just that they called him Jace a couple of times, and I guess I did hear them say Jacaerys. But the fact they called him Jace, and when they said Joffrey, that's an unusual name for a Valyrian. I was like, the other one's name is Jace. Like,
well, I mean Jacaerys. I mean,
yeah.
For a second, I thought for a second I thought it was Jaehaerys, but no, it's actually Jaceres. So yeah, but yeah, we'll see. And well, we get of course, like Allison was surprised by Rhaenyra being there, blah blah blah, and of course, yeah, like you said, Allison says to keep trying for the third child. And I put down her sons are Caucasian. Obviously, Harwin is babysitting, real dad, And then, of course, we find out Harwin is Night's. He's not the Night's Watch, City Watch,
Commander of the City Watch.
So we get all that. We basically he's the dad. We know, we get it. So now we get a scene, our first scene of the dragon pin. We see one of those dragon handlers lead a dragon out for the kids. It scares the one kid. I'm assuming that was Jaceres, that one kid, and they bring out a sheep, or was it a goat? I think it was a goat.
It was a goat.
It was a goat. They bring out a goat. And he's like, "Can I say it? Can I say it?" And they're like, "Okay." And he's being like, the tamer is speaking Valyrian, High Valyrian, and they have a translator there. And he's like, "Can I say it? Can I say it?" And then he says, "Dracarys." And then, of course, once they brought the goat out, the dragon was like, "Ooh, I want that." And so you hear your Dracarys, and it eats the dragon. And we see the Allison's two kids for the first time. We see Aegon, who's the older one, and then we see Aemond, who is the younger one. And something happens between Aemond and one of the other sons. I was wondering if it would happen in this episode. It didn't. But let's just say Aemond loses something. He has a nickname. He has a nickname in the source material for a reason. So, but so Aemond gets picked on by Jaceres, and goaded by his older brother Aegon, and they pretend, "Hey, here's a pig. This is your dragon. Ride him." And they laugh, and Aemond gets pissed off, and he's like, "Okay, I'm gonna go deep into the pit." He goes into the pit and then sees a dragon. The dragon's just moving around. It's so dark. It's one thing that it's like they didn't learn from season 8 of Game of Thrones. You can't see anything.
So that's just so many TV shows do that now, and I don't understand who it is that's graduating film school or what it is that's happening, where they're like, what the audience really loves? They really love to have a TV show that they can only watch in their fancy freaking cinema room or at night with all the lights turned off. It's like, hey, no, some people watched it in regular times of day or in rooms that don't have perfect light control, and they deserve to still see the scene.
Well, isn't part of it to hide CGI and cut costs on CGI so they don't have to CGI the whole dragon and stuff like that? I agree it's silly, but I think that part of it, is a cost-cutting measure and to hide some CGI stuff. I think, but it still needs to stop. It's ridiculous.
I'm trying to look and see what's going on, and I'm barely seeing anything. It's just like, I get it. It was, I guess light was not in abundance in the evening during the Middle Ages, but come on, we're watching this show. Seriously. So we see the dragon. Kind of crawling around, and all of a sudden it starts breathing. Like it opens its mouth and starts breathing fire at the ceiling. And Aemond gets scared and runs away. Blah, blah, blah. And of course, what do we get next? Let's see. So we get another scene. So it lights up. Okay, so it uses its flame to light up the room, and then that's when Aemond flees. Then it cuts to a scene. I'm assuming that was Rhaenyra. Was that Rhaenyra with Allison looking at that millipede or centipede thing?
No,
was that
was Allison's daughter.
Yeah, her daughter.
Oh, that was her daughter.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure who that was.
Yeah.
Okay. I was like, who? I'm like, who is this?
Yeah,
so
that was the daughter.
That was
the daughter that Rhaenyra made the proposal about.
Okay. All right. So that was her daughter. I was like, who? I'm like, is that Rhaenyra? I was like, seriously, I was like, who is this? I forgot that she had a third child. Of course, she's also pale of hair, and well, the Targaryens don't have blue eyes in this show or any show. So violet eyes, I mean, sorry, excuse me. So she's with her daughter, and all of a sudden, so all of a sudden, who was it? So Eamon gets in, and he ends up getting scolded by Alicent, and of course, I said Rhaenyra, whoever, I forgot the daughter's name again. She doesn't care. She's just kind of sitting there looking at her bugs or millipedes or whatever, and she just says, Rhaenyra's kids are she literally says Rhaenyra's kids are a menace. I think she says it's the king, actually.
Yeah.
Okay, so she goes and talks to the king, tells him that Rhaenyra's kids are a menace. The king thinks that Aegon put him up to it, and thinks her children may be otherwise, bastards, in other words. And of course, Viserys then brings up, it's interesting. Viserys uses a black horse and a silver stallion or whatever, and they give birth to a brown horse. And I couldn't help but think of you, Pips. I just couldn't help but think of you. So
it's that was just, I mean, I guess maybe we can believe that happens, but first of all, in what situation are we supposed to believe that the king had a black mare that he was keeping such close track of, that he knows that it went through a fence and got knocked? Like, the king has a stable master. It's unlikely the stable master is going to tell him any of that. Like, he has hundreds of horses in the stables. Like, it was such a contrived, it was so on the nose with the black horse and the silvery white horse and the chestnut foal. And it was just like,
and I mean, and then Allison's like, well, did you see it? Did you see it happen?
Valid question.
It was a valid question. So, yeah, obviously Viserys is kind of checked out. I'm watching this episode, and you realize he's checked out. He's like, I'm gonna die soon. I'm just like, I just want us to get along, blah blah blah. I don't care. And I mean, that's what happens when that's what happens when you have, you marry twice, you have kids from two different mothers, and then your daughter's an idiot.
That's really what it is. The daughter is an idiot, and
daughter's an idiot.
He has in the past stood up to her about, like, hey, this is all about the good of the realm, right? And his daughter, by clearly sleeping with other dudes, is jeopardizing the good of the realm, and he's doing, jack all about it. And
the moment, I don't know. I mean, whether you execute her or not, probably not banish her with her sons to Harrenhal and name Aegon heir. Like, I mean, done.
I did not. R.I.P. Doobie Brothers, something my parents used to listen to a while ago. So, all right, that's one page down. We got three more. I took 4 pages of notes as opposed to 3 this time. So, so we get Alicent and Sir Criston. They have a little scene together. Obviously, Sir Criston hates Rhaenyra's guts, calls her a spoiled C-word, and just continually complains about Rhaenyra. They have that little scene. Is there anything else you guys? I don't even remember what else was said. He was just complaining about her.
Yeah, it's just basically there to show he hates her.
Yeah, and there's not much left there as to it. And of course, we get another great scene of Aegon in the room by himself, naked, stand outside the window like a king or like a prince, and he just slides his sword back and forth.
Had to get that little kid ass in there, right? I mean, I was just like,
what?
Jesus,
yeah, like that was. It was like nobody.
It was obviously a teenager.
Nobody needs to see a freaking adolescent boy or girl's ass.
Yeah, young enough that it was creepy.
Yeah, that actor.
Like, was that even? I think the actor's an adult though, but yeah, I agree. It's just
he doesn't look like it though. So like, Rhaenyra and Alicent, how they didn't really show any nudity with those two characters, even though they're both in their 20s. Yeah. The first actors, because they were playing a young character, it would have still been off-putting, right? This
Right.
kid is a kid, right? He's literally like a 15-year-old boy in the timeline of the show, if even that, right? He might be as young as 14, and like, gosh, what the hell? And yeah, Shane in chat is 100% right. Like the creepiness of you as the audience seeing it, and also the sort of like
Well,
empathized embarrassment. That
well,
was gratuitous.
she didn't even care. She just came in.
No,
She's
she didn't give a
like,
shit.
did you do this?" It's like, not gonna say anything about him. Just no. Okay, guess we're moving on. I don't know. It's totally unneeded and just I don't know.
Yeah,
Bad.
gratuitous.
Yeah, she ends up, yeah, and then okay, so Allison comes in. She's scolding him about tormenting his brother, but then she also scolds him about and the reason why she's really pissed off is not because she tormented his brother so much as the fact that you're going to need him down the line because family is what's most important, because there's a pot, and she brings this up like direct. She basically is repeating what her father Otto told her last week's episode. Everything that he said to her, she basically repeated to him. And he doesn't sound like he gives a shit. He doesn't sound like he cares. He's like, "Oh, fine, I don't give a shit about being the king." And she's like, "You better, because your life could be forfeit. Our lives could be forfeit. Blah blah blah." And it's just so she's obviously she's really trying to brainwash him into thinking this way. And it's just it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy to see either. I don't know what you guys think about that.
Concur. I didn't like the scene at all. I was good.
So,
they could have cut it out.
So what part of it are you asking about? Because we kind of talked
her trying to drive the idea that Rhaenyra is the enemy to him, because it does seem like they've had this conversation before, and he just doesn't he doesn't believe her, or he doesn't give a shit.
I think he's just being an arrogant teenager, sort of like, all right. Yeah. I mean, he's like any, I don't know.
So I didn't like the scene generally. That part of it was probably less, was that part of it was better than the sort of intro into the scene, right?
Yeah.
The conversation itself was not bad. The fact that we're supposed to be seeing this kid and he's like, I just won't challenge then. And then like the next time we see him, he's like whooping the dude's butt with the sword, It's like those don't seem like the same attitudes of the same kids, right? Like one of them, if he was like a poet and like, reading under the tree and playing his lute, and he's like, yeah, I just won't challenge. I'm not going to be a threat, and then I won't have a problem. That would make sense. But he's out there, working on becoming a knight and is kicking the heir to the throne on his backside.
Yeah. And being a bully pretty much to his brother. So,
exactly. I mean, and being kind of a dickhead. So I'm not buying the interaction part of that.
I mean, I'm just going to say this. I think his character is going to be is going to have a lot in common with, I mean, maybe to a lesser degree, but I think he's when he gets powerful enough, he might have some things in common with King Joffrey, maybe not as cruel, but I don't know. We'll have to see. But the way what I've read about him so far and what he does, kind of makes me think of that parallel. So, and of course, Allison kind of makes me think of Cersei a little bit, just spewing poison from her lips into the king's ear, which is kind of what they bring it. They literally bring it.
To be honest,
Allison acting like a spoiled little child, I think, but I don't know.
To be honest, we can talk about her spewing poison, but to the extent I'm kind of thinking like the Machin Shin from Wheel of Prime, where like, yeah, she's supposed to be evil, but everything she's saying is true. Like she's just like, yeah, your daughter's a whore. Those aren't her legitimate children. This is going to be bad for the kingdom. And it screws up the alliance with this house that you tried and worked so hard for. And she's doing it under your nose, flaunting it, and it's going to be a problem. And the king's like, don't talk to me. Like,
yeah.
But between the two of them, at the end of this episode, between the two of them, I am Team Allison.
Okay, interesting. Okay,
I, I could
I
do
don't
without.
like her,
I
but
could do without either of them, to be honest. But so, we'll get there.
yeah,
because I know the show is trying to make you feel for Rhaenyra.
Yes,
it's trying, but it
it's
keeps on
trying
making her
to.
an idiot. And one of the
Yes.
most frustrating things to watch in anything is people making decisions that no reasonable person would ever make in that situation, right? Like, sure, I can suspend my disbelief that there are dragons. I can't suspend my disbelief that everyone is a stupid idiot. Like,
Yep. And the king just is like
yeah,
whatever. We'll get there. And I don't think the king is beyond caring at this point because of what happens with the hand. So it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, we'll get there. But and I think we're coming up onto. I'll say my piece about the next part, but I'll let you get
All
there
right.
first.
So next part, we see some dragon riding. We see
The dragon riding was fine. That's not the part I was talking about. Sorry.
Okay, so we see the dragon riding.
Steve hated the dragon riding. Everyone.
He hated
The
it.
dragon riding was actually a highlight of the episode, to be frank. But sorry.
So yeah, so Damon was riding was it Caraxes, I believe.
Yeah.
And we see Pips's Chekhov's dragon. We see Vagar being
and he
ridden by
played
Lena.
Vagar played a role, so
Yeah.
it really was Chekhov's dragon.
Yes, it was.
A dragon
Yes, it
which
was.
is talked about in the first act must fire, breathe, and kill someone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, which was questionable to me, but we'll get there too.
Well,
yeah, that was something that did not happen, and at least from what I remember, I was reading World of Ice and Fire. That does not happen, or at least once again. But once again, this is unreliable narrator. So, but I heard it was something else happened. I mean, something equivalent happened, but I don't. That was never ever truly stated. We'll get to that, but
okay.
So we see that we find out there's people watching. They're watching them ride their dragons, and we find out Lena and Damon have two daughters of of reasonable complexion, reasonable skin tone, kind of. But that's not the point. But we get a feast. We're at a feast. For a second, I was like, "Is this Dragonstone?" No, this is not Dragonstone or Driftmark. I was like, "Where are we?" We find out we're actually in Pentos. We're in Pentos, which is where we first see Daenerys in season 1, where she's in the house of Ilario Mapatis, who is, of course, if you've seen Game of Thrones, read the books, he's an associate of Varys, the spider, and yeah, it's a place where I guess people like to plot stuff, or in this case, I'm guessing this guy was like a magister. I don't know if he was the magister of the city. His name was Reggio. I couldn't help but think of pizza while hearing that name. If you ever had a Reggio's pizza, well, Chicago thing, I guess.
Sorry, you're on an island, buddy.
So, but like they have this feast. I love them showing all the food, because that's a very George R. R. Martin thing, because he's really detailed about the foods and everything that are usually served. Maybe a little too detailed, but I think Robert Jordan was pretty detailed about everything too, right? He was detailed about the food. He was detailed about embroideries and clothing, everything that was.
Yeah, they didn't give us that sort of homage to his stylistic writing, though. So where Game of Thrones, HBO consistently does show the food and kind of all this stuff as like a nod to something that the author spent a lot of time on. Yeah, we didn't get that with Wheel of Time.
Yeah.
Everyone's dressed in a burlap
I did see
sack.
a clip. I saw that clip that you posted. I was like, wow. I think I might have to watch this show. I might have to watch this show and have you guys come on and
Oof,
have to talk
what,
about
Wheel of
it.
Time?
Yeah, Wheel of Time.
Ooh.
I might have to watch
a little
it.
bit.
And,
sorry, I just threw up.
It's hard for me to encourage anyone to watch it other than to watch it in the rewatch with us. Because we're watching it the only way you should, which is a healthy dosage of alcohol and rage.
Oof,
but
oof is all I can say.
Good luck to you if you do it.
If you watch it, I'll talk to you about it. But
yeah, exactly.
I mean, yeah, I
I'd
won't
rather
watch
you.
it if you guys won't talk to me about it.
I'll
No,
talk to you about it. I'd rather you read the books and come on my channel and talk about that. That's what I'd rather do.
100% that. But I'll be
Okay.
your emotional support horse if you need
But
one.
I'll do both if you're really just looking to, just hurt yourself.
I mean, I feel like I
'cause
have to now that I'm
watching-
associated with you guys. I have to read
watching
real
that
time now, and
watching that show is basically self-harm because you just want to throw up constantly.
so there's only
But-
one season out, right? The second season's not out.
Second
yet, right?
season, who knows when it's coming out? It's in the can, but they're afraid to announce when because Rings of Power sucks so much.
They're
and
ashamed.
They're ashamed. That's exactly, dude.
They're
you can't
ashamed
convince
of what they've done.
You cannot convince me otherwise that they have taken $2 billion, multi-million-dollar fantasy books, and just utterly freaking eviscerated them on film.
Yeah.
Two of the most classic fantasy tales ever told, and they screwed them both up major.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
But sorry, we're getting off on a tangent.
All
Sorry.
right, just wanted to read what Dempsey's talking about right here. He says, "I'm excited for Netflix's Ragnarok. I've never seen that. I believe that's
It's
Norwegian.
not bad. It's not the greatest, but it's not bad. I think it's a. I want to say it's a foreign.
It's a foreign.
make.
Yeah, it's a foreign
make.
one.
It's
I
like
think
Norwegian
I think it's
or-
Scandinavian. Yeah,
or
it's one of the
Scandinavian's probably right.
Scandinavians.
Yeah, because it's all the
I don't
gods
remember
are in it.
which
It's either
Thor and-
Norwegian or Finnish, or it's not Swedish. I don't think.
No, I think it's.
I think it's Norway, but I don't know for sure.
I think it's Norway just by the not just the cast, but the mythology in it. I think it's Norwegian.
Okay.
Don't quote me on that. It's still pretty good.
Quote Prophet
I
of the
will-
Dragon
I
on
will
that.
quote you on that.
Fuck, do it or don't. I don't care. Fuck
Okay,
it.
Dempsey
If it gets my name
confirms-
out there, just quote me wherever you
Yeah,
want.
Dempsey confirms it's Norwegian. So there you go. So
See, there you
Dempsey
go.
would
So
know
now,
about it.
so now you can quote me on that. Thanks, Dempsey.
I
Now we
still
won't
now,
quote you.
Dempsey, I got your friend request on Discord. You can join. I got the Prophet Discord going too. You can join that if you want to. It's on my channel.
Yeah, I
Just
still have
posted
not. I still have not seen The Boys, or the latest season at least. I've seen the
Latest
first
season
two.
actually not terrible.
Yeah.
At least for me, it was
All
okay.
right, I'll keep that in mind.
Better
Cobra
than the
Kai.
second.
Cobra Kai. I did watch. Season 5 was awesome.
Garbage show.
It was much better than second. Cobra Kai season 5 was good. I think because Cobra Kai is one of those shows that just it knows what it is. Like it doesn't try to be like a gritty raw drama. Like it has fun with itself and with
it makes fun of
its story
itself, yeah.
and
So what Cobra Kai does better than everybody else is they realize that they have a story to tell, but then we add fan service and Easter eggs into our story instead of making the whole thing Easter eggs and bullshit cameos.
Yeah, that's hollow. I agree. I
The
totally
cameo has
Yeah.
a major part.
Yes.
Chosen is a major part of that season. And
Yes,
well
he
done.
is. Yes, he is. Yes, he
Yep.
is.
Agreed.
So you watched it, Pips?
yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah,
He
had,
hated
My wife thinks that it is terrible and is constantly arguing about she doesn't understand why I like that Karate Kid show.
because it's like an old television
Because
show.
Terry Silver
makes
is
you-
the best
it
villain
makes-
ever.
It makes you want more. Like there's stories, there's compelling, there's compelling dialogue. The character interactions are interesting, and things end with the show. Shows now don't end on major cliffhangers, for the most part. That show ends on major cliffhangers, making you want more.
Dude,
and that's
I
a
want
big deal.
If Terry Silver isn't in season 6, I'm gonna riot. He was the best villain ever, man. I love me.
I mean,
some Terry Silver.
he had the long hair.
Dude,
he was like an anime villain. He was like an
He was
anime
so
villain with-
perfect, bro. It was the best.
And he
It was
had
the
those
best.
he had those goons. He had those goons underneath him. It made me think of Kill Bill a little bit. I was
Yeah,
like,
it's just like it was perfect.
I loved
Well,
how,
I
like,
should
he
say
cut-
perfect. It was fun. It was.
I
fun.
loved how he had chosen. He had all those other senseis. Like anyone who beats him gets the job, and so they all try to attack him, and they all lose.
Chosen just wipes the floor.
He
with them.
wipes them all out, but then I like how Terry Silver just stands there and he just smiles and he's just like, you know what, you didn't disappoint me.
Yeah,
And that's
it's
what
like,
I
good
want to
job.
see in a villain. I want to see a villain, not
Dude,
I want
he's
to see
not
a
a
villain be a
look.
villain.
Terry Silver, and now we're getting way off track. But Terry Silver never feels like he's on the anybody's got the upper hand on him the whole time.
and that's
Even
what's
if
great.
even if he's behind the 8 ball, he don't care. It's like
No.
I'm gonna I got you. Up until the end, where it's like, calls for his students to go. That's the one time he shows a little bit of weakness and doubt in himself. Although he doesn't doubt himself for a fucking second.
Well, after he gets beaten by spoiler
no,
alert,
when after they reveal the tape and like he told calls the Cobra Kai's to back him up and nobody moves.
Oh yeah.
And then he has the one-on-one with Daniel. That's the only time he ever shows any sort of doubt, like I'm not the man.
I agree.
So
I really enjoyed this. Is right. It was. I don't know.
So,
I still don't know where I'd rank this. It's one of my favorite seasons.
It's one of those. Okay. I just have to say, I think this sort of shows how much we didn't really enjoy this episode because we just went off on a 10-minute tangent about freaking Cobra Kai because it's so good. This episode disappointed me hard.
I honestly didn't think the episode was boring. But
we're not even to the. I wouldn't call it boring. Disappointing and very I don't think I was bored. I think I was actually worse. I was aggravated because I expected more.
I think you're 100% right. I was going to say the same thing about our tangent, and I was going to say the same thing about that as well. That like you're literally you're not paying attention, but you are. There are so many scenes where you're just like, really, like
what?
This is what we're doing now, like.
Yeah, I don't know. It was, I don't know. So I don't know where we left off, but that's why we're buddies, man.
Yeah. So we're
not you.
We're
not you. Pentos. You like this episode, so screw you. No, I'm kidding.
We're still in Pentos. So we're still in Pentos, and we meet this guy Reggio, and he has a proposal for Damon and Lena. So the proposal is that he's like, I'm going to offer you permanent residence in this manse. They say manse instead of mansion. Ooh. And then of course, along with lands and tenants to pay tributes annually. And of course, offers freedom of the city and harbor befitting a royal station. What's the catch? Well, the catch is the Triarchy is back. Lisa and their allies have made common cause with Corin Martell of Dorne. So the Dornish are now kind of in this game, or they are in this game. And what does Pentos want? Well, what do people actually want? What does everybody ask of Targaryens?
They want dragons.
Dragons. So they want to use the dragons to help protect Pentos from them. Damon comes off as interested, and Lena's like, no, we'll see. And then of course they get into a little argument, and Lena thinks it's beneath them. She wants her kids to grow up in Driftmark. Why the hell are we here? Blah blah blah. I didn't know what else to take. It made sense to me.
It was
Damon,
fine.
I think, just wanted to get involved in another conflict. That's how I took it. That's why I think he said yes. I don't know if you guys have a different take on that.
Right?
I don't know that he even said yes. Did he? He said he would.
He said he was interested. Or he said
we consider it.
Yeah, right? Consider it. Yeah.
I think when he said we'll consider it, I think he actually meant to consider it. Whereas when Allison said that they would consider it, I think that she was like, no, absolutely not. No. And we see that later, I suppose. That's not really a surprise. Yeah. I will say, of all of the storylines that were happening in today's episode, the one with Damon and his family in Pentos is the one that bothered me the least. I actually liked it. I enjoyed it. Yep. With the one exception that we will probably talk about. But
once again, thinking the same thing, you and me. Yeah, no, I was okay. And I don't know if it's Matt Smith as Damon lighting up the screen.
Oh, yeah.
I thought the wife did a good job.
Yeah, no, she was great.
I thought she was fantastic. Yeah.
No, I liked that highlight of the episode was those scenes, except for the one glaring problem.
Yeah. So if I remember correctly, I believe Pentos was not part of the Triarchy. I think the Triarchy was Lys, Mir, and I don't know if it was Cohor or what's the other, or Norvos or Tyrosh. There's one of those, I think.
Tyrosh, I think.
Tyrosh? We'll see.
I think.
I'm not sure. But I don't believe it was Pentos. I don't believe it was Pentos.
I thought Pentos and Bravos were independent states.
I know Bravos is. I know maybe Volantis. No, I don't think Volantis.
Yeah.
No
But yeah,
idea.
Bravos was founded by slaves, basically. So they escaped Valeria, and yeah, they're very self sufficient. They have the
There
bank,
you
and
go.
of
Yep.
course,
Tyrush.
it was Tyrush.
Yep.
Okay, okay, all right, okay, cool. So, so we go back to the Red Keep, and of course, this is the training. This is the training scene that we get. So we get
What?
the kids. So the kids are training under Sir Kristen's direction. Of course, Sir Kristen is giving Allison's kids more attention. I think I forget if Sir Kristen is the, because he eventually becomes Lord Commander of the Kingsguard. I don't think we saw, we didn't see what's his name, Harold Westerling, Graham McTavish's character at all. So because I think he's supposed to be the Lord Commander of the Kingsguard. So for some reason, Sir Kristen is supervising the training of Allison's kids, and he's barely paying any mind to Rhaenyra's kids. So it gets to a point where Sir Harwin is there. Don't know why he's there, because if he's the head of the City Watch, shouldn't be on City Watch business. I mean, isn't that like, why is he there? Watching the is he supposed to be there training the kids as well?
What are we talking
That was
about?
what I was
Strong?
asking. Yeah, Harwan.
He's not.
The true father.
No, it's more dumb BS where he's checking up on his children in public.
Yeah.
It's like, what do you do? You have no business being there. You're go do your job.
Yeah.
And if you're not doing your job, go do what you would do when you're not doing your job, which is not looking after other people's kids.
Yeah, absolutely.
Why are you there?
Yeah.
It's
And
just
of course,
another
then,
silly thing.
Yeah, so it gets to a point where there was a sword scene where Sir Kristen has both Aegon and Aemond try to hit him with the wooden swords. And what do you guys think of that? I couldn't help but think of a character named Galadriel in another show.
Oh my god!
With the five people.
Pips, I don't know if you want to go first, but like, at least the only thing I could say is at least they were using wooden swords. If you want to go first,
and they were children, so like it made sense.
Yeah,
it's an adult knight versus two children,
but
it was two, not 9.
The over swinging drives me crazy. These are they're just, I don't know. I'm gonna take two hands on a one-handed sword and over swing it, and it's just like, can we not get a decent sword fight somewhere, please?
Yeah, because the whole the whole Rings of Power thing was just like, why? Like, aren't the Numenorians supposed to be one of the best soldiers? Aren't they supposed to be some of the best fighters? Like they have they have the largest people. Like King Elendil is 8 feet tall, close to 8 feet tall, as tall as the mountain. So you would think that they would have the best of the best. And what do we see? Boys and
I didn't have I mean, at least it was two. They were using wooden practice swords, fine, but all the thrusting and the over swinging and it was just like, come on.
They're supposed to be untrained boys. The over swinging is, that's.
But
yeah,
are they?
It didn't bother me very much, except for the silliness of the concept, right? Because one of the problems with the Galadriel scene was that's not how you train people. You don't train people by just like whooping on them and laughing, right? And so that concept, he's supposed to be trying to train them. He should be having them go through drills. He should be doing one-on-one. He should have them spar against each other and should be stopping the fight and telling them to like adjust their grip and do stuff like that. And so just laughing at them and showing how he's great and they suck like is not good. So that's the problem. Them being bad, their children, not a problem. Him comically beating them, their children, not a problem. At least that was my view on it.
Well, I mean, he should have routed them, of course, but I don't know. I think they're untrained to a point. I don't know that they're untrained. I think they're learning. They're in they're learning. This isn't their first lesson with the sword, especially Aegon. Aegon should be at this point pretty decently skilled to be doing two-handed thrusts with a one-handed sword and overswinging to his heart's content. So I don't know.
I'm not going to claim that I paid that much attention to the overswinging and the thrusting, all that stuff. I thought that the setup was dumb.
No,
and
well,
I just dismissed it as typical Hollywood sword fighting. But
well, that's what it is, because it because I was waiting for it, because just because the sword fight from Rings of Power was so bad. I'm like, all right, you know what? This could be a great 1-to-1 comparison. Let's get a good sword fight, even from children point of view. Let's get a good, and it was the same thrusting, overswinging, twirly bullshit, and it was just like, I don't know who's the choreography for these sword fights, but they need to hire somebody that knows what they're doing.
I think part of it is that unarmored sword fighting is not visually interesting because you're super vulnerable to a cutting edge if you're not in armor, like, to include arms, hands, especially stuff like that. So like, it's a lot of like very sort of hesitant kind of probing. One of the things that the original Star Wars actually kind of holds up, if you look at the way Obi-Wan Kenobi fights against Darth Vader, right? Like there's a lot of kind of probing, backing away, because it was modeled more after, I think, samurai fighting than sort of like Western, swinging claymores and stuff. So when they try and do these fights, they want it to be visually interesting, and it just, I
don't know. I get what you're saying. There's got to be a better way.
Yeah.
Than just pointing it and running past the guy and him going whoop and then tapping him on the butt. It's just like, how many times are we going to do that?
Part of the problem is that all of them fall victim to the trope of swinging my sword at your sword.
Yeah.
Right. And the bottom line is like, no, I'm swinging my sword at you, and my whole body is engaged in that effort. Right. So it's you see it with guys who do like pugil stick fighting and stuff like that for like a more modern kind of war fighting thing with a similar style weapon, simulated bayonets and stuff like that. The guy who typically wins is the guy who runs in like a train, does like a deflect to get the other guy's bayonet kind of off axis, and then just bowls him over to the ground, right? Like that's, if you're fighting an armored guy, your goal is to get that dude to the ground because he's armored, right?
Yeah.
So that's the part that I think that they miss, and that would be visually interesting too if it was guys with hammers and like knocking people over, doing like Battle of Hastings and like stabbing through eye slits and stuff. But
that's what they did at the Battle of Hastings, stabbing through eye slits.
And in other ones, yeah.
Okay, I didn't know that. So, oh, cool. All right, so. Like I said, so
Agincourt is the really big one if you want to look into that. But
okay, like everything that you said kind of went over my head. I don't know anything about sword fighting and combat, so something I probably should learn quite a bit.
Well, I do know a good thing to do is have a temper tantrum in front of everybody and beat the shit out of the instructor.
Gosh, that was terrible.
I know that's a great idea. Is when you're not getting your way. And children are getting their ass kicked.
Yeah, he
then beat up the instructor within an inch of his life. I think that's a great idea.
I think he hit the kid too. He hit the prince. That was the big deal.
I'm surprised he didn't get executed
right then and there.
Like you attacked the prince and one of the senior members of the King's Guard. Like those other two King's Guard should have just stabbed him. Like.
That would have happened in would have certainly
right?
happened in season 1 of Game of Thrones.
Yes. For one, just think about it.
Yeah.
Those other two King's Guard that go up and grab him off their buddy who's getting beaten up on the ground, they probably would be happy to just kill the guy in that situation because, like, hey, you're swinging at my friend and you just struck the king. Nobody's going to ask me any questions if I just come up and stab you in the back right now. So for one, they'd be on board with it. And for two, yeah, I'm surprised that wouldn't have been what was expected of them in that situation.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. Interesting. Okay, let's keep going. We're about halfway done.
So not good. We'll just not good scene.
And he was prompted by something so dumb, like, "Oh, you're maybe your son," and then he just goes off and he's like, "Say it again, say it again." It's like, say what again? Like he didn't insult you. He didn't like. Gosh, that
Again,
was a
he's not
terrible.
another saying the truth. It's like you guys have made this mess for yourselves. They're
Yeah.
just telling you that everybody knows that you're full of shit and they know what's going on.
Yep.
You flipping out like that is you're just an idiot.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Not great.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I mean, obviously you're putting a target. You're putting a target on your back. And you're putting a target on your kid's back. Well,
Well, I mean,
yeah, it's just
look how bad this could get.
it could get, yeah,
If you have people interview, like if you now you could have a whole inquiry about this thing. What set the guy off? Well, Caspian said this, and then he went off, and then why was he saying this? And then you torture the other guy, and he lets loose that hey, those 3 kids are actually mine. There's a whole bunch of executions about to happen.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
Which
you
the
losing your
father brings up.
You're talking about Lionel at
Yeah.
when they had an argument.
yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, his behavior is putting all of them into. I mean, this. And sorry, something else later is just like it's like okay, whatever.
Yeah. So let's keep going. So we get the next scene right here. So Rhaenyra is with the baby, and of course she hears of the incident. So I forget who brought it to her, but someone brought her news of the incident.
It's just
So
one of
she
her
goes, huh?
handmaid. Just one of her
Handmaid.
handmaidens, I think. Yeah.
So she goes into her secret door. You hear the Zelda jingle. Dun, 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 dun. Goes in, and she apparently there's like a secret path to get to Harwin's room, so where they do their deeds, or maybe he comes and does their deeds there. Who knows? And of course, this is where we get the argument. She secretly overhears the argument between Harwin and Lionel, his father, over basically over striking Kristen and striking the prince, and of course confirming the rumors, warning him of the consequences of what's going to happen. So basically, everything you guys were talking about was pretty much basically.
And he should have known that. How has he been doing this for 10 years? Like if this is the way he acts, that conflict would have come to a head 9 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's like, and then you start like, it's like, so is the king just senile at this point? It's like, or he's that much in denial, and his position is weak. I mean, he would have been done assassinated by now too if he's just letting this, like, if he's that obtuse to the whole situation, somebody would have took care of that too. Because under their nose, they're just philandering and making him look like. I mean, every child they have is making him look like a bigger freaking tool.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Excuse me. It's just not. It's just like you said. It's just making things worse. Everything's getting tense in court, and
And
it's just
it's not even like the situation is still bad, right? But it's
yeah,
how, like Pip said, it's how the two of them especially are acting.
yeah,
Like it's no big deal that we have 3 kids. We could still we could hide in a corner and smoochy, or like, you should be so on the down low here that there should be no there should be no even idea who is the baby's father, if there's even question. But they're just so fast and loose about it. It's just like, well, Pips is right. They should have been executed before the second child was born.
yeah. Yeah. So yeah, I'm sorry, I'm kind of distracted right now. So getting back on track here. So we get another scene. Getting another scene. So Lenore and Carl come home drunk, and of course the new boyfriend starts. They of course they're coming around. You hear she's taking care of her baby, and then they're singing songs, and of course he talks of course he talks about more war in the step zones. The Triacri's back, and of course he wants to go off and fight, and she's just like, no. So like, come on, like we made a deal. We made a deal. You have to stay here. Blah 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 blah. And he's just like, I don't even remember. Like, does he agree? I know she commands him to stay. Does he agree? Does he?
What?
Lanor, the
No, he just basically shrugs it off like a beta and walks away. If I remember right.
yeah.
She
And
just says, "I command you to stay," and he's just like, "Well, okay," and goes off. Right? Is that if I remember right? I don't know.
I think the scene ends after that. I don't think he walks off. I think it cuts to a different scene. He's
Does
still
it?
sitting in the chair, and they
He
maybe
just-
they say a couple more lines of dialogue, but I think that just ends because I think the next time we see him is he's sword fighting with his bro
with real swords.
they could have dulled edges. I don't know, but yeah, I don't like the actor. I don't like the acting direction that he's getting. I thought the previous guy playing Lenor was pretty good, and this guy is a disappointment.
It's almost distracting every time he is on screen, isn't it? It's like he lost weight from when he was a kid, like size and weight. It's like it's not everybody else seems proportionally correct with their aging. He seems to have like stunted his growth, and now he's just a twig.
He was like a 15. He was like a 15 or 16-year-old when we previously saw him, right? He was about Rhaenyra's age. So he should be 25, 26. He should basically be in the prime of his physical life. And he's a knight, which means that he, practices swinging metal sticks around.
Yeah.
And he gets to eat as good as anybody can eat in a medieval setting. He should be looking like his dad. He should be looking like a guy who you're like, yeah, you're not maybe as tall as modern people are, but like you could probably play some left tackle. Like,
I mean, should be. I mean, it felt like his arms were twigs. Like, it was very distracting for me.
Yeah, again,
only time it's happened in this. Yeah,
if he played a musical instrument and sang songs and wrote poetry, it'd be one thing. But we're supposed to believe he's a knight and a dragon rider, and he looks like that. He, like you said, the only actor that I've seen so far that I'm like, man, real miscast, like real swing and a miss.
Yep, agreed.
Okay, I'll have to check and compare. I didn't notice that myself, so yeah.
I think the younger version actually looks more masculine than the
he does. Version. He really does.
Yeah, you might have something there. I'll have to double check and I'll have to.
I'm just going off memory. I remember him coming down on the dragon at the fight, and he's looking like pretty beefy for a kid and pretty tough. But
So we get that. So of course, we have a different. He has a different. He has a different look to him, and yes, he was barely in the episode. He's barely there for, and he's enjoying. He has his own life. He's living. He's doing his own thing with that dude Sir Carl, with a Q. So, yeah. We do see him once more in the episode.
Sorry, looking at some set pictures, I think seeing him in armor previously might have lent a little more sort of gravitas maybe to the actor that played the younger Lenor. He's not as big as I kind of thought he was, but he's still. I think Prophet's still right. I think he lost weight. But anyway, sorry to cut us back to that.
That's fine.
I just did a quick Google search.
Okay, cool. I appreciate that. So we get next scene we get Lena and her second daughter. I don't think we even got their kids' names. I mean, they're obviously in the source material. It'd be nice if they said their names. That's one issue I have with modern entertainment is that they don't say their names enough. So I don't know who these characters are. So I have to write down I have to make up my own names. I have to make up my own nicknames for them. But in this case, I just called her second daughter. I thought she was the first daughter. No, she's the second daughter because she doesn't have a dragon. So she asks about dragons, and she's just like, I feel bad that I don't have a dragon. And Lena is like, well, you have to claim that right. That's part of being a Targaryen. You want to claim that right to have a dragon. And it's just like my father doesn't pay any attention to me. I was just like, oh, okay. Like Daemon's a dick. I get it. So
I mean, are they trying to make Damon like a dragon racist? Like
I don't know.
my older daughter has a dragon, so I like her because she's sitting there with the other daughter, like having a, reading the books and stuff,
helping with her homework, I believe.
Yeah, so
teaching her Old Valyrian, which is I liked because we saw Jacaerys not knowing how to speak Valyrian. So I thought that was an interesting.
Yeah, I was hoping he'd be like good to both of them. I don't know. It was like, I don't know. It's sort of yuck. Oh well.
You're muted.
Thanks, Pips. We get another scene on the roof. Daemon and Lena learn of Rhaenyra's third child, and they're like, oh yes, the same thing. So they knew
everyone knows.
They're in Pentos. They're in Pentos, and they're like, oh, it's brown. It's like, Jesus Christ.
Damn, like, yes. that was just comical. Like,
yeah, it's crazy. So so they know about Harwin. Of course,
the whole Game of Thrones series took place because of a bastard.
You're talking about what? You're talking about the main?
The king, the Hand of the King got killed in Game of Thrones because he found out that Robert Baratheon had a bastard.
Yeah. You mean Joffrey?
No, the Joffrey was a bastard. Yes.
Yeah.
And that his true son or whatever, the true son or whatever, a true born heir was out there doing whatever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it's just everybody knows there's bastards floating around in the Red Keep and nobody cares.
Yeah.
It just seems weird.
Yep.
Yeah. So we get more stuff talking about we get additional stuff on this in this scene talking about Daemon doesn't want to be there. He misses the wine in Westeros. So I'm guessing that's his way of saying I miss Westeros, even though his wife brings it up and he denies it.
I'm not sure if that's what that was of him just saying you're pestering me. I wish I was drunk. That's how I took it was stop pestering me.
Quit nagging me.
I can't drink enough. I can't drink enough of this blasted wine to get drunk. So leave me alone.
Yeah. And he's like, you continue you're nagging at me. Leave me alone and stuff. So, yeah. So, oh, well, look who's here. My buddy, my friend in real life. Show isn't doing it for me. Tons of drama, but it's just not what I'm into. Well, looks like he agrees with you guys. So there you go.
This episode took a serious.
Hey, Martin.
How you doing, Martin?
Yeah, he was in my Ocarina of Time Part 3 video. He contributed to it. So yeah,
nice.
But yeah,
good man.
He's not he's not liking the show. He's not liking the show. So
well, this one's gonna hurt it. Like I really think it's gonna hurt it. Like everybody's sort of. I heard from a few people saying this was the one that's gonna show if it's gonna be able to pull it off, and this one fell completely flat.
Yep. Mm-hmm. I was just on with some other people earlier today on Renaissance Nerds channel, and it got brought up saying that the time jump was going to be really difficult, that a lot of people had really liked, had felt like they bonded with the actors and actresses, and some of their favorites were leaving the show. And I was like, well, it's supposed to be getting more active. It's supposed to be the action is finally culminating kind of in this part of the story. So maybe, these new actors will do a good turn. It'll be a little more action focused and, it'll do well. But I got to say, I think Prophet's right. I think that this is going to hurt viewership.
Yeah, I can't wait to hear other people's takes too. So I'll have to rewatch it, and I haven't even rewatched the other episodes. So I mean,
I haven't either.
I'm kind of enjoying the show, but I don't like it enough to want to rewatch it. It's not like Better Call Saul where I want to rewatch the
Yeah.
episode right away, or even older Game of Thrones when I was so super into it. I remember how many times I rewatched Hard Home from season 5.
Well, I mean,
I think I watched that 3 times that same night. That's
well, I
how
mean,
good that episode was.
there's a few things where it's just like you watch like especially if you're doing this stuff, you watch it with a different sort of eye, and then you got to go. It's like, should I go back and see if I missed anything? Because I was like, right. And I haven't had that. Just like you said with Better Call Saul, it's like I watched every episode twice, at least. I'm not getting any of that with this right now. I was happy with. I was fine with 1 through 5. This one it's even for somebody who's liked the previous episodes. This was a blow, man. This is a serious blow for this show.
Yeah,
for me. I'm not. I don't. I'm obviously not going to put anybody's opinions. And look, maybe they recover. I don't know, but
yeah, I see. Well,
it's just the stories they start the storyline they've decided to go with here, and I don't if it's book accurate. I guess that's a problem with the book. I don't know, but
it
I
kind
just
of is and it isn't. It's weird how, because once again, like I said earlier, unreliable narrator,
I mean
relying
if
on
they at least made the
2
kids
additional unreliable narrator sources.
like if they at least made 2 out of the 3 kids blonde or something, and like you know what I mean, or just the
Yeah,
newest one was brown haired.
yeah,
Or something like it's just like so overtly obvious what's going on with Rhaenyra. It
Yeah.
just bothers me.
I think honestly, it's less about how they look and the fact that Aegon and Aemond are standing next to him all the time,
Yeah.
right? Because they look, if either one of the two of them, for example, or if all of them had sort of like light brown hair or something like that, maybe, right? But they look like albinos next to these sort of, kind of swarthy, sort of, darker complexion, dark hair. They look like Baratheons.
Right.
yeah, they do. Or in this case, Strongs. But yeah. I need to see where I'll have to do this afterwards, but I need to look ahead and find out what happens to these kids ultimately. Because what's funny is she has more, like I said earlier, she has more kids. So there you go. So, but let's get back to this. So High Council meeting time now. Of course, we hear about the Brackens again, the Blackwoods. They have another incident. I forget what the incident was, but something bad happened. They're like, should we deal with this? Yeah, they were like, should we deal with this? And Allison takes the position of no, this is a Tully problem because this is under their jurisdiction in the Riverlands. So there's Allison, then get Rhaenyra, who decides to be contrarians and say, no, this should be our problem, and blah blah blah. And then they change the subject. Of course, we see a new Grand Maester who is of not so fair skin, I'll say. So I'm curious if in this show, the Citadel takes people from all these different lands to train under their to train under them. So
he was in the last episode. I think he was the one who offered a poultice of herbs and stuff like that, and the previous Grand Maester said no and went with the leeches.
Oh, okay, that makes sense, because I know they had an Indian dude before that who said we can't figure out what's causing these wounds or why these wounds won't heal and stuff. So,
yeah.
But yeah, so that we have that, and of course, we get I think we see Lord Beesbury again for the first time in a while, and he's I don't know if he's going senile or he just ignored the change in subject. He's like, oh, I think the Blackwoods would be fine, and they're like, we're not talking about that. The Maester's like, no, we're not talking about that. We're talking about the Stepstones now, because Sir Tyland brings up what's going on in the Stepstones, and he doesn't want to hear it. And of course, Rhaenyra and Alicent have their little, you know,
I have a
even though they're women, they're having a dick measuring contest.
should Alicent
Taking,
even be there?
I mean, she doesn't have to be
It's a
there,
small
but
council, right? Why is she there?
Anybody the king says is on the small council is on the small council, you know.
So
yeah,
So,
okay,
she probably wanted to be on the small council, and the
but
king's like, okay, sure.
Okay.
but I agree. She had one of those little weird stones, you know. So, and her and Rhaenyra were sort of fingering their stones at each other.
Yeah,
I mean, as a king, you'd think that would be a real. There's a conflict there. Maybe remove the non-heir to the kingdom, so you have a more peaceful small council.
yeah,
You
Yep.
could deal with that
Mhm.
in the bedroom later.
Yeah.
She is supposed to be your queen. She's not in charge. So
Yeah.
just
So
sort of bothered me that she was even there to begin with. But I mean, I guess it's fine. I guess she could be there. But
yeah, I don't even remember what Rhaenyra's role is supposed to be there. Like, is
I
she
well,
think
she's
supposed
the
to?
heir, so
she's
she
the
makes
heir.
sense.
So
She's heir
So
to the
she's
king,
gotta be
so she
there.
wants
Yeah,
to be involved
no,
in
that's
the
true.
affairs. So it makes sense that Rhaenyra's there. The queen, I mean, it wasn't like Robert
yeah,
Baratheon was bringing Cersei to the small council meetings until she
I
right? She wasn't,
I
was she?
totally
Maybe
agree
she
with you.
was.
I
Oh,
totally
okay.
agree with you. I was offering kind of the devil's advocate position that like she could be legitimately there if the king wanted her there. But I do agree with you. My wife asked the same question while we were watching it. She was like, "Why is she even here?"
Yeah.
So I think it is a question that sort of does beg an answer. Um, the bigger thing that I thought was weird about this scene, well, not bigger, but the other thing that I thought was weird about this scene is this is supposed to be a realm where women are not respected, don't have property rights. You're not supposed to inherit land. You're not going to be the king, right? Unless, I guess, this one time as an exception to hundreds of years of tradition that, the queen is going to have the throne, right? Um, the small council was really the two of them talking to each other a lot.
Yep.
Like
It was them. I mean, it was pretty much them. Yeah.
it was the Alicent and Rhaenyra show. And that was odd that none of the other council members really had any strong insight or opinions on any of the topics, even though some of them should actually be the counselors responsible for the area that they're talking about, right? So,
Sorry,
I
I
think
was
you're
muted. Yeah, I was muted again. Yeah, I have the window open. I have the window open. Planes, because I don't live too far from O'Hare. Planes come and go quite a bit. So, just wanted to read this. How would you rate Halloween Kills? I liked it. I know a lot of people didn't. I know the movie has its problems, but it was brutal. I'll just say it was brutal. I enjoyed it. So, am I gonna see the new one? Yeah, definitely. And I know you guys don't like horror, so yeah, scary.
it's just not my preferred genre.
Okay. Yeah. Pips is yeah.
I like suspense movies and thrillers and stuff like that. I think too many movies in the horror genre are like jump scares and stuff like that, and it's like
Oh yeah, a
I'd,
lot of them
I'd
are a lot of them are trash. I agree.
yeah, I'd much rather have the
But there's some
suspense
good
horror
ones out there.
movies, which
Yeah.
I think are typically more suspense, less horror. So
You ever seen Hitchcock?
yeah,
Okay. I mean Hitchcock is another idea. We'll talk about this later. But going back, so the High Council, the just to conclude it, they talk about the stepstones, and then Rhaenyra's just like, why didn't we build why didn't we keep it defended? They retook it. We should have had towers. We should have garrisons. We should have had fleets there. And Allison's like, it's too expensive. Well, war is more expensive. I was just like, okay. I was just like, they're just kind of dick measuring at this point. I'm just like, this is getting annoying. Just
Yeah. It was. Yeah. Yeah.
the
Plus,
scene.
two
I
people
didn't like
that
the scene. I thought it was stupid. I'm like,
the two people that shouldn't be having the conversation.
yeah, I'm just like, I would if I was the. I mean, I know the king is sick and stuff, but like, I would have
Well,
shut
the
that shit
hand,
down.
the hand should be taking control of the meeting.
Yeah, the hand should have been like, yeah. Well, I'll be honest. He's not Otto. He's not Otto. I'll say that. So
Yeah, well, I mean, the hand
Otto
should
would
have
have
been
shut that shit down.
Probably, yeah.
So. Okay. So, but we're finally done with that scene, and of course, then there's I think Rhaenyra tries to appeal to Alicent, and of course she's like talks about the strife of the families, proposes to betroth her son Jaehaerys to her daughter Helena, and of course offers a dragon egg to Aemond. And there's a weird moment I had to rewind this. I'm like, what the hell happened? And I looked, and I was like, oh, she leaked.
Yes.
Yeah,
Rhaenyra leaked
she
from
was
her.
she was lactating.
Dating.
Yes.
Yeah.
I
And
liked
she's like, oh,
that was some woman on woman violence right there.
yeah, yeah,
Nobody
yeah.
noticed, and Alicent is like, oh, women in the small council, am I right?
Yeah.
It was just like, damn.
Wow. I was just like, okay. I don't know why they. I don't know. I was there was
To get
like
out of
what was
get out of the room, probably because Allison didn't want to answer, or just wanted to sort of brush it off and move on
yeah.
because she didn't want to broach the subject.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think also there's some of the message kind of involved in that scene as well, that the a woman put in her place because of her biological stuff, I think was what it was a bit on the nose for some of the things we've heard from the producers. Not super obtrusive. The interesting thing to me, like I said, is that if that's what they're trying to do, and I do think that's what they were trying to do, it
Yeah.
was interesting that it was Alicent who brought attention to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and of course, Allison's not buying any of this. She sees this as a weakness, sees this as desperation, and the king is just like, "Oh, come on, be
Well,
friends, be
well,
friends. Why can't we all be friends? Why
well,
can't we be
again,
friends?
Pips is
Why
right.
can't we be friends?"
Why would Alicent want to marry her pure blood daughter up to a bastard?
I
It's
like how,
like,
but did you like how Viserys is like completely oblivious to what's going on? He's like, "Yeah, that sounds like a great idea.
I don't
That's
know
a
that
great
he's.
idea,
Do you
Rhaenyra.
think
You're
he's even
awesome."
oblivious, or he just wants him to stop fighting because he's tired of
Yeah,
hearing about
probably
it?
that. Probably. It's
I
always
don't
a
know.
combination.
I don't know.
The truth is always more nuanced.
Yeah.
Always so. I think it's a little bit of both. So of course she won't take the bait,
Bye,
and
Max.
it's midnight here. Yeah, it's 11 p.m. by me. So yeah, I know it's midnight for you guys too. So we're almost done. We have one page left. So
This has been a tough one.
Yeah. So
Steve's over there just slowly getting lower in his camera.
Yeah. There you go.
Sorry, man. I'm trying. My throat's starting to hurt. I'm here though. I've had a lot more to say about this than I thought, to be honest.
Yeah, you did. So we get so they go back to the king's chambers, and of course Lord Lionel himself comes to, and he decides, like, I am tendering my resignation as hand. And we find out that, like, what's going on, I cannot in good faith be of service to you. And there's a shadow that looms over my watch, or
My house.
I forgot how he put it, over my watch. And Viserys wants the context, and he's like, no, I can't. I'm like, okay, so you confess to something, but you won't say, you're confessing that something is going on, but then you won't state it.
Well, and then she's like, and then she expects, it's like, it's like, are you?
What's crazy about that scene is he says there's some bad stuff. The king is like, well, tell me the bad stuff. And he's like, I can't. And the daughter, or the wife, is like, yeah, say it plainly. And the king looks over at her, like they have like a moment that makes it clear that the king also knows what's up. Right?
Right, but then expecting him to say it plainly is like, so you want him to offer up not only his 3 grandchildren, but his son to the headsman.
That's what she wants.
And his daughter, probably.
Yeah.
Well, I know that's what she wants, but it's naive for her to think that he's going to say go further. I mean, I guess she would push, but it's just like The whole scene is
Yeah.
he should have never came in the room. Swallow it, dude. You're not protecting your family. You should know.
He would not have tendered his resignation in front of the queen.
No.
Yeah, no, you have to. Yeah, I agree.
But that's the problem right now. Is the queen wherever the king is the queen has to be there.
Yeah, that's yeah, because like you said, it's
because
she's
reasons because she's holding his leash. Like that's what they're
she's holding
trying
his
to.
leash. She's saying she wants to be in control. She doesn't want. Yeah, she wants to get rid of Rhaenyra, obviously, based on that one conversation from last week. So, but yeah, so like once again, they're like, we're gonna Lionel's like, I'm gonna take Harwin to Harrenhal, begin his duties. He's gonna begin his duties as Lord of Harrenhal. Of course, Alicent is not happy that the king does not accept the resignation. So, because he didn't state what the reason the shadow looming over the family is. So, whatever. She storms out, and she ends up having she ends up meeting with Mr. Snake himself, Larys Strong. So, what do you think of this guy? I'm like, wow. I was just like, wow, very, very opportunistic, and there's a rule in the world of A Song of Ice and Fire, or in Westeros. One of the most evil things you can do besides violating guest right, which is what the Red Wedding was, is kinslaying. He killed his brother. He had his brother killed. I'm just like, I'm like, why is he doing?
We're just gonna go there? Yeah, yeah.
Is it only? Is it only his brother that was killed?
His father too.
Okay, so
that was
the thing. That was the thing. I wasn't sure if the father, they
pulled
out, was killed too.
All the bodies they pulled. No, he killed everybody because he killed his father, he killed his brother, and he killed everybody in that tower. Now the biggest problem I have. Now the brother, I don't understand how that door is locked.
I was gonna ask the same thing.
I didn't understand. Where is it? I'm like, where is
inside the outside? Where's it locked from?
That door, not only that, it seemed like that was the door to the dad's bedroom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the sun's out.
So the sun is in a hallway, presumably.
Yeah. So
here's
the thing.
Another bedroom right next to it.
No. So here's how it. So I'm sorry because this one pissed me off too. So don't tell me that the assassins locked the doors from both sides because the sun is out in the hallway trying to get the father out of his room. So if they locked the doors from the outside so you couldn't get out, then they would have locked the son's door too, so he couldn't have got out. So he's gotten out and is now trying to get the father out, but they can't get that door open for reasons, so they could die. It's ridiculous. Come on, it's not a hard thing to just burn.
You know what I think? You know what I thought was going to happen? I thought when we see the scene, so we see the scene where Lionel's waking up. He's in bed. He's waking up. The first, you know what I thought was going to happen, and it didn't happen. I thought they were going to go King Duncan on. I thought they were going to pull a King Duncan. If you're familiar with Macbeth, he gets murdered in his bed. I thought they were going to.
Yeah, I thought they were going to
murder him in his bed, and they were going to murder his son in his bed.
Yeah, that's exactly what I thought.
Because once again, going back. So Lannis is plotting with Alicent, and Lannis goes to the Black Cells. At least I think they were the Black Cells in the lower parts of the Red Keep, and he finds a bunch of prisoners there. Takes a couple of them, offers them their life if they do something. Of course, they showed them cut off their tongues. Say they take their tongues and slice them off. Burn them off at the same time, cauterizing them. And I guess so they don't talk. Is that why they did that? Is that why they did that? So
they cut. They were criminals. I'm assuming they cut off their tongues in case they got captured. They couldn't talk and say who sent them. It was my assumption.
That's what I thought too. So they send those. They send those two. I'm assuming there were two. Was there more? I don't remember. Who knows? Maybe there were three. I don't know.
There were. I think there were either 3 or 4.
Yeah, and so I thought they were going to sneak in, pose, and then stab them to death. But no, they somehow burn them in the tower, or they set a fire to the tower and they died somehow. They didn't get out. I was like, okay, why can't he get out? So the side where Harwin's on is the side that's on fire, and of course, then the roof or the ceiling collapses on him, and then I was like, okay, he's dead. So I wasn't sure about Lionel because Lionel was trying to get him out. So I wasn't sure if he survived, but we didn't see.
Well,
we just saw a couple of burned up bodies. I mean,
Harwin was trying to get.
Harwin.
Harwin was trying to get. Harwin's the son, right?
Yeah.
He was trying to get the father out.
So
they were at the same door.
So this is what confused me about the layout, because it sounded like what he was saying, like, there's a fire, help, like I'm gonna be, I'm gonna be burned, right? That's the kind of like dialogue that they're having him say. Makes it kind of sound like the room that he was in was lit and they locked him in it, right? The only problem that I had with that, because that would make sense what we were talking about, like you would trap him in a room, light it on fire, whatever, right?
Right.
Is that, again, it appears to be that his dad wakes up and goes to the door in his bedroom, and that's the door that he's trying to pry open to get to his son.
That was exactly what I thought.
And
that's what I thought too.
So like, unless they had conjoining rooms, it doesn't make any sense.
I thought that the way I saw it was the son had made it out into the hallway. It was trying to save his father, and he couldn't do it, and they both just died.
So you're saying the hallway was on fire?
Yes,
that's where the son was.
Yes,
I didn't think that he was in a hallway, but
I didn't think so either.
I mean, I could be. Well, and your eyes, the editing could be what the problem is here.
And that's what I think, is that it's unclear, and it shouldn't be. It shouldn't be unclear what's happening, right? You should have seen a scene where his dad runs down a hallway to get to his son's room, or you should have seen a scene where the son runs through the flaming hallway to try and get to the father's room. Them being on the same side or opposite sides of the same door, somebody had to get to that door, and they needed to show you that happen, because now you're sitting here like, what is the layout of this castle? Like, what?
Yeah, I agree. I was just like, it was confusing as hell. I'm like, what's going on here? So that's another issue.
Yeah, I think it's the editing. I'm gonna look at it real quick because I'm curious, because it gave me the impression that the sun was outside.
Yeah.
I was confused by it, so
I think we all were. I think everybody was. So
I definitely think that the dad died as well. The question is whether or not I'm thinking because
we didn't see him. We didn't see him come out of the tower, so we saw a couple of bodies. So I'm assuming that was both of them. So
yeah. So the question is, did his son mean for them both to die?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Okay. Is that what happened in the books? Did that?
I don't remember. I'd have to double check. I've heard, like, it's rumored how he died. I'll have to look because I don't recall, because I read this. I don't recall him dying in Harrenhal. And of course they say, oh, Harrenhal, they're trying to bring up, remember Harren the Black and how he was roasted in his castle and his towers because of that. So yeah, there we go.
It looks like maybe Shane is saying that yes, that's what happened in the books as well.
Yeah. So, but yeah, so we get that, and of course we get a monologue right after that from Lanus, talking about like kids and Jesus Christ, it's loud. My bad. I'll let you guys say. I'll let you guys say something while I wait for this plane.
Well, what's the next scene that we're transitioning to?
I believe it's we already talked about Harwin saying goodbye, and of course we already talked about his death. And
I don't know if we actually really talked about Harwin saying goodbye. I feel like Steve probably has stuff to say about that scene.
Kind of, yeah. I mean, like his kid figured out, like, oh, am I a bastard? Blah blah blah.
Because I'm looking at this real quick, the death scene. I swear to God, they're yelling at each other through the door.
It seems like they are.
Yeah.
So just give me 2 seconds, and go ahead. I'll be right back.
Well, I meant to say something about the Harwin saying goodbye to his kids, which was just like, holy shit. Like, literally, if anyone has seen you act this way for the last 10 years. Everyone knows. Everyone knows this. Everyone knows. Like, it was just ridiculous. And so, yeah, the kid is like, is he my father? Just like, shit. Like, you guys are the worst. The worst.
Yeah. Yeah.
Honestly, I think that scene, probably that one as sort of like the ultimate one that made me like, yeah, I'm Team Allison. Because again, I hate stupid characters. I hate being made to watch them. Like, it's so frustrating. And so now I'm like, you know what, Rhaenyra, whatever. I don't even care. I hope you lose. Like, you deserve to lose.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I sorry, I was just I swear they're at the they're it doesn't make any sense. So bad editing, whatever, it's bad. Sorry. As far as that, it's all like you summed it up perfectly. Stupid. Like, and then the son just comes out. I was like, "Am I a bastard?" It's like, so like,
She doesn't even lie to him.
and she doesn't even lie. It's be like, no, of
No.
course, no. She's like, you're a Targaryen. That's
Targaryen.
what's. It's like, no, that's not the only thing that's important. Hello. She doesn't
Mhm.
even lie.
Yeah.
We see no scenes with the father with his children, but we do see, you know, freaking Harwin Strong with them constantly. It's like, dude, it would make sense if he was like Sir Kristen, who's on the King's Guard and he's always around. But the dude works in the City Watch. Like, he shouldn't be in the castle literally all the time, like holding his son. It's
Mhm.
just comical.
Yeah. But yeah, so here, so we got we got that, and then of course we get Lionel, or not Lionel. Okay, we already talked about Lionel. So we have that monologue. The final part of this episode is Laris's monologue, and of course we see more rat. We see a rat inside the king's chambers, like right, like just scurrying on the fireplace. And of course we see Rhaenyra's family goes to Dragonstone, and yeah, it of course we find out that this whole monologue talking about the children and stuff, people can she's speaking to Allison, and she's like, I didn't want this, and he's like, well, you got it.
You asked for it. What do you mean you didn't want it?
And
Like,
that's
come
how the
on.
episode ends.
Yeah. So yeah, it's like what I don't know. Just I don't know, man. It got worse talking about it too. Like for me,
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's just really bad, man. Really bad. Like it's very deflating for me because I was enjoying this so much, and it's like so now you're right back up climbing this hill with the next episode.
Yeah, I agree. So
Uh,
I mean, based on everything we've talked about, I mean, my opinion is obviously dropped. So you guys have poisoned you guys have poisoned my ear with good facts and details.
yeah,
So
Yes.
I'll have to say a six. I'll just have to say six. I'll probably give it probably 5.5, 6 out of 10 at this
yeah.
point. It's
If you're
Man.
asking for a score from me, probably a 4.
probably 4.
Oh man.
I did I no I just was taking out immediately. The storyline was just junk. Do we even talk about the mom roasting herself instead of giving them a chance to try and save the baby?
No, we didn't.
Oh no, we didn't. That's true. Oh,
I
that's
mean,
right. We didn't even get to that.
she just
You got
like
the notepad over there. How are we skipping stuff? What's happening?
because she wants to go out like a dragon rider or something instead of giving them the opportunity to try and save the baby. She just roasts herself. I'm like I was waiting for the baby to be sitting there because it was a Targaryen and fire doesn't like supposed to burn Targaryen, so I was waiting for her to like be roasted and the baby just to be sitting there crying or something, you know, because
So
of Dany.
That would
so
have
here's
been
here's
that
what
would have been
happens. Like,
comical.
yeah. So
I don't know, but like she just burned her. She just killed herself. It's like you're not even gonna
yeah,
let him try.
I was like, okay, this is what I was gonna say. So this, according to World of Ice and Fire, I mean, I just read this. I did read about what happens to her. So I thought she had complications from the birth, and she gave birth to a deformed baby that died right away, and then she died. That's basically what happened. I'm guessing
Right.
they did this so that it didn't feel like they were repeating what they did
It
with
did feel
Emma
like they were
Aaron.
repeating it though. Like
It felt exactly, scene for
they
scene,
even
the exact same
announced
thing.
they even had the conversation. Oh, we could
Yeah.
open the womb, and like she probably wouldn't live. And I'm like, are you making us watch this again?
Again.
Like
Yeah.
seriously?
Well, you have the pregnancy at
Two
the
out of three
beginning.
women have died in pregnancy. Apparently, is what we're getting
Well,
from
you
this.
got the pregnancy at the beginning, so another live birth on screen, and now we got another one where the woman, instead of trying to save the baby, kills herself.
Yeah, it's.
I mean, it's
I
like
was like,
it's
he's
like
like Dracarys, Dracarys. I was like,
it's
the
supposed to be
dragon's not. I was
dramatic.
like,
It's
the
like,
dragon's not going to do it. The dragon's not going to do it. Then the dragon does it. I was like, whoa, whoa,
well,
whoa.
and hopefully, like I'm assuming that they're setting that up so the daughter takes over her dragon.
Yeah, I don't know what they're gonna
But
do.
it's like what are you doing? Like they still haven't. They said they still have an opportunity to try and at least save the baby if they cut you open, and you just nah. I'm gonna kill myself.
Yeah,
I'm glad that we didn't have to watch that scene over again.
Yeah, me
Right.
too. Me
I know,
too. I didn't want to watch it again, but cut away or something and just
Right,
come out
like-
and just die. Like, just don't even have the whole thing in there again. Like,
Yes,
Yeah.
that's really she should have just given birth to a stillborn baby, right? Like that's and
Yeah.
you know, give birth to a stillborn and then have her die, you know, after the struggle over labors. I don't know how they could have done it if they had to have her and the baby die. There's only a limited handful of ways they could have done it, but man, going over the top dramatic.
just do it off screen if you're gonna do it. Just have him outside and be like, we tried everything, we couldn't save either of them. It's like, oh damn, like or something. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know. It was
I'm
just bad.
torn. I'm torn because yeah, I wish that they just hadn't done another death in childbirth. I mean, at this point where you know, the producers said that 50% of women die in childbirth and we're at 66%. So it's
one more to go.
Man, like it's just
so sorry to bring it up, but it didn't. It's 4.
Yeah.
4.
And
just
she
so
managed to get out there on her own, unattended, in the middle of labor.
It's like, just jump a little bit. Maybe the baby will fall out. Like,
yeah, it's just it's like, okay, fine. But I don't know. I'm getting tired. You guys want to?
Yeah.
Any more final thoughts?
No, just disappointed. Disappointed. It's created a giant uphill battle for it, and you're now gonna start. I would assume with this episode, you're gonna start hearing that stigma of Game of Thrones properties can't finish, and we'll see what happens with the next episode.
Yeah,
a lot of people were giving it a lot of rope because they were interesting and they were building to something, and this one just 15 steps backwards for me.
Yeah. What about you, Pips?
Yeah, I mean, I think after talking through it again, I think I'm probably gonna also adjust down and say 5.5, somewhere in there. Definitely the lowest that I've given any of the episodes in the show, mainly because there were too many scenes that were just comical in their incompetence. Like the level of incompetence that was required for the characters in that scene, for that scene to have happened, is just unbelievable. And I've said, like, that is one of my pet peeves with watching shows when you have to suspend your disbelief on like basic human intelligence, and it's like, well,
it just shows weak writing right there. I mean, it's what more is there than that? I mean, it's just I don't disagree with it. So
I want to know, Roman, what am I wrong about, bud? You enjoyed this episode? I'm just curious.
Roman.
Roman showed up.
I love you, Roman. By the way, love you by the way,
Roman.
I'm just curious. I don't know what I'm wrong about, but I would love to know, because we all seem to be on the same page here. So, so we can talk about whatever you want, dude.
Yeah. But my opinion has not really changed. I mean, my opinion has changed since the beginning, but ever since I stated my score, it hasn't really changed after that. I'm roughly in the same area as Pips. 6, 5.5, roughly between 5.5 and 6 out of 10 is
Well,
just
why is
it was entertaining on the surface, but like you said, like it requires a lot of incompetence, a lot of stupidity just for because the script says so. And that's pretty much what I think is going on here.
I just want to know why I'm wrong when we all three have basically agreed all night.
because
Oh, sorry. You know what? You're a bastard, Roman. Screw you, buddy.
yeah,
He's
so
my he's my internet
contrarian
no, he's my internet
Nemesis.
opposite.
nemesis. There you go. That's
Okay,
it.
there you go.
Roman's my nemesis. I forgot. Yeah, we'll fight later, dude. You're right.
We'll fight later.
I don't know how I forgot, Roman. My bad. It's the
Okay.
COVID. The COVID got to me. I forgot how much I hate you.
Yeah, so it's 11:30 my time. I know it's 12:30 your time. So, let's. I'm going to say to tell everybody thank you for joining in the chat. Pips, Steve, thank you for your insights. You guys are awesome like always. You guys make this. After show great. So and not great, but just not great.
It was so. You guys were
you
kind of subpar.
you guys kind of put me in place too because I'm trying to give it the benefit of the doubt. I'm trying to be entertained at the same time, and you guys are pointing out stuff that I should be pointing out too. So, but you guys are awesome. Thank you guys for doing this, and everybody have a good rest of your week.
Good night.
Is there anything you guys want to plug before we go?
I think me and Salty, because he was sick, we're gonna try and do a review of this tomorrow since he couldn't do it live. So I think we're gonna try and do that on his channel tomorrow night. I think we will see. So check it out there.
Yeah, let me know if you guys need another voice or something.
Yeah, I'll talk to him, see how he's feeling. I know, see if I can. I don't know. I'm just up and down, so hopefully I can do it. Hopefully I just get better. So, yeah. So that's it for now. I got my Rings of Power review up. If anybody wants to go cry a little bit.
And what about you, Pips?
We got the White Cloaks rewatch is posting a couple new episodes this week. We just posted some stuff today on some TV reviews and ratings, specifically Nielsen TV viewership ratings. So it's a couple weeks delayed, is the way the Nielsen stuff works. But bottom line up front, Game of Thrones OG as well as House of the Dragon making the top sides of the list along with a couple other properties. And She-Hulk is terrible and nobody's watching it. Official, confirmed by data. We'll be doing another episode of that either Friday or Saturday, as quickly as we can without having it be low production value. But this upcoming weekend, if you guys look for it, is going to be the first week that Rings of Power data is available. So we'll finally be able to look behind the curtain at their 25 million samples and see how many people actually stuck it out and watched the first episodes in that first week of the show.
That'd be good.
I think it's going to be low. I think
Yep.
I think that sample rate is hiding something.
All signs are showing to be low, right? Yeah, so that'd be a good one.
Yep. Other predictions are that She-Hulk is going to fall off the edge of the map. It's already kind of off the edge of the map.
It's already gone.
But there's some rumors that the week over week viewership on that show is pathetic. And so we've only seen the first 2 weeks. I think as we get into week 3 and 4, so a couple weeks from now, it's just going to disappear completely and we'll never see it again. So
that seems to be Marvel these days, unfortunately. I'm
unfortunately
interested. I'm interested to see where Andor falls in all this, since everybody forgot it exists because it is sleep fuel though. It if you needed a quick nap, just throw it on there, you drift right to sleep.
I think
I've heard mixed things.
It's garbage
from people, especially from. Even certain drinker was actually kind of intrigued by the show. So
people sort of liked Prey too for some reason. So our bar is really low.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the one thing I'll say about Andor is Hollywood Scholar brought this up. The Google sort of like search history data shows that interest level in Andor is actually a lot higher than some of the other Disney properties right now.
Wow.
We'll see whether or not that translates into views. So we'll see
That's
that in a while as well. I mean, it's a Star Wars property. Star Wars, I think, still generates interest regardless of how many times it gets kicked.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah,
maybe so. We'll see.
All right, cool. For me, I mean, this week I'm going to be on our Runner Blazes channel. We're going to be talking about. I'm going to see Tropic Thunder for the first time. We're going to talk about that movie.
What?
You haven't seen
First
Tropic
time?
Thunder?
No, I haven't.
Oh.
So we're gonna be covering that on Tuesday, I believe.
Dude, you are in for a treat, bro. Oh my god.
Okay.
So that's gonna be one thing I'll be doing, and then of course Friday. I know I'm gonna be on Gray's channel. We're gonna be talking about Nightmare on Elm Street. So I'll be definitely be on for that because I love the first Nightmare on Elm Street. And then he's going to be on my channel. We're going to be doing we're going to be doing a serial horror chat on my end. We're going to be talking about Halloween 3, Season of the Witch. And it's the Halloween movie that has no Michael Myers. So I'll just say it's an interesting movie. It's got a great John Carpenter score, and can't wait to talk that movie with him. And I got more things planned. I'm trying to plan more things. I got another serial horror chat with Purple Valkyrie planned. We're going to talk about Dracula from 1958. Nice. Sir Christopher Lee.
Nice. Very nice.
So we're going to do that sometime next week. I got to confirm the time with her, and hopefully
when you watch Tropic Thunder, make sure to watch the credits scene.
Okay.
Yes, watch it all.
I'll watch it all. I'll watch it all. I finished. I'm just going to proofread. I finished writing my Planet of the Apes retrospective. Now I just have to proofread it and then record, and then the juicy part, editing, which takes probably the longest time. Well, it doesn't take the longest time, but writing it takes probably the longest time for me to come up with proper words and stuff. So, but that's where I'm at, and I think my next project after that will be Metroid. So, because I really want to do Metroid. I'm gonna move Breaking Bad off for a while because those layman videos don't make a lot of views. My Better Call Saul one only made 50. My Better Call Saul one has only got 50, 60 views.
Yeah. Metroid will do good for you. Nothing does good for me anymore, so it's okay.
Video game stuff does really good. It's just
I think there's just a big slump on pretty much everyone's channels right now that is not the real big streamers, because so many people are watching a bunch of big TV shows right now and then watching reviews and comments on these shows. I think there's a lot of the air is getting sucked out of the room until Rings of Power and House of the Dragon are done. I think could just be the seasons. Who knows?
Yep. All right. We good, brother?
Yeah, we're good. All right, everybody. Take care. Have a good night.
Have a good night, guys.